What If Episode 6 dropped today on Disney+. I've been following the series religiously. This is the episode I was most excited for since watching the trailer, and I was more than satisfied with what we got. I've seen every episode the day that has come out, and I've enjoyed all of them so far to varying degrees. It's hard to crown a favorite episode in an anthology series like this one because each episode is just so different. I like different ones for different reasons. Most of them aren't perfect, but most things in life aren't. I hate reviewers that strive to find the negative in everything they watch. Just shut up and enjoy the show. If you didn't like a particular episode, oh well, try again next week. All that being said, I can say with confidence that episode 6 is my favorite so far. It marks the return of Eric Killmonger for the first time since Black Panther and cements him as the MCU's greatest villain. The MCU fandom has long debated who the best villain is, but it's impossible to come to an agreement on any single one out of the dozens that we've seen so far. But the top contenders are pretty much consistently accepted as gospel, not counting the Netflix series, some of which would easily make the top 10. Thanos, Loki, and Killmonger. Each of these villains have left their mark on the MCU and the fans love them. Thanos, of course, had the most substantial effect on the MCU, managing to wipe out half of all life in the universe and was responsible for the death of its first hero. He was large and in charge with multiple armies of different species and over 10 human lifetimes of knowledge and experience. We've all debated his personal philosophies, and while they work for the role of Mad Titan, he lacks a crucial level of relatability for anyone who isn't going mad themselves. Loki's trademark mischief, smugness, and ego has made him an unforgettable villain. He was the first villain to tear our heroes apart and force them together. He has even captured the hearts and minds of his adoring fans as he slowly drifted away from villain territory and snugly into the anti-hero category by swapping sides and sacrificing himself for the greater good. Because of his hero-adjacent status, I don't think he qualifies for top villain anymore. Eric Killmonger, though, makes a hell of a first impression. Consider everything that he's done, the lasting impact he's had on the MCU. Now remember that he's a minor villain who appeared in one movie and one episode of an anthology series. Thanos was lurking in the background since the first Captain America movie. Loki's been in nearly everything since the first Thor. Both of them have roots in Phase 1 and a multitude of appearances moving forward. Loki even has his own TV series. Eric is literally more down to earth than the other villains. He's concerned with issues that we deal with every day as a society. He's a radical black man from Oakland with a dream of making the world a better place for his people and overthrowing his oppressors. A human being with no special powers or inheritance. Scratch that. He had an inheritance, one that was taken from him when his uncle killed his father and alienated him from his own people. He only falls into villain territory because his views and methods mark him as an extremist. A stark contrast, no pun intended, to a nigh-invincible genocidal alien with magic stones and another nigh-invincible genocidal alien with magic stones. It's clear to me that a character who has achieved nearly just as much with far less to work with compared to his counterparts is, without a doubt, far more impressive. But if there was ever any doubt that Killmonger is the MCU's best villain, they can all be laid to rest with the newest episode of What If. Episode 6 of What If asked the question, what if Eric Killmonger saved Tony Stark? This episode was the most exciting for me prior to its release for two reasons: the return of Killmonger and an increased focus on storytelling and character. These are the same two reasons that episode 2 was my previous favorite. At first, I had no idea what Eric would want from Tony, but then I realized that I was an idiot, because the answer was obvious all along and literally in the trailer. Stark Tech weapons. The primary implication of the premise is obviously that if Tony doesn't get blown up, he doesn't become Iron Man. And that's exactly what happens. Instead of living out the events of the original Iron Man, Obadiah Stane is exposed as a member of the Ten Rings and arrested, whereas Eric is promoted to his chief security officer. They become fast friends, but it's clear that the relationship won't last, because Eric has hidden agendas. The episode demonstrates that he has a greater range of talents than just shooting people real good. He's playing 4D chess with the world's military forces while they're playing tic-tac-toe. He plays the US against Wakanda, with Claw caught squarely in the middle. He kills Tony, T'Challa, Rhodey, and Claw before taking his place as the Black Panther. In this universe, Tony has a similar epiphany to the one he had in Iron Man, but instead of ceasing all weapons manufacturing, Eric, as his new security advisor, convinces Tony to realize his college thesis on the next generation of warfare. He convinces Tony to build an army of unmanned drones using vibranium as a power source, rather than developing a mini arc reactor. Vibranium is incredibly rare and expensive though, and the only person willing to sell it in the quantities that they need is Claw. Pepper tells Tony that Claw is a black market broker and dealing with him would be super shady. Eric agrees with her while simultaneously figuring out a solution to get the US military involved and do the whole thing above board. With his quick thinking, he's figured out how to get what he wants, prove his loyalty to Tony, move closer to his true objective, and still look like a good guy. On top of that, by suggesting that he use vibranium rather than developing arc reactor technology, he forces the Wakandans to get involved. When T'Challa shows up to put a stop to the deal,
Eric kills him and Rhodey and pins the whole thing on Black Panther.
as Rhodey is dying, the two have a dialogue about changing oppressive systems of government. Eric asks Rhodey why he would fight and die in the uniform of his own oppressors. It's important to note that Eric is rarely seen wearing standard-issue military attire, and if I understand correctly, he's actually a mercenary with ties to the CIA rather than an actual US soldier. Rhodey tells him that the system must be changed from the inside.
You gotta be part of the system to change the system. You could burn it down.
He joined the military and rose through the ranks, gaining the respect of his superiors, his oppressors, by putting on a straight face and telling everyone what they wanted to hear.
Young brother, the black domestic defy racial stereotypes by being hardworking and trustworthy. He slowly tears down racial hatred with his example of a strong work ethic and dignified character.
Eric would rather burn it all down. When Tony finds out about Rhodey's murder, he sicks the drone on Eric. Eric defeats the drone with a Wakandan spear he picked up earlier before killing Tony and pinning the murder on the Dora Milaje. This forces the US to declare war on Wakanda. Then he kills Claw, using his death as a key to Wakanda's trust. He fools them into fighting the drones rather than leaving up the shield so that he can, once again, look like the hero.
His heroism and loyalty is rewarded by being sworn in as the newest Black Panther, defender of Wakanda.
The episode expands on a few things that we knew about Eric and reveals a couple more. It's always been clear that he's confident, badass, capable, and a smooth talker. He's always been frightfully cunning, but this episode gives us another look. No one is spared in his crusade, and he's always a step ahead of everyone around him. Not only that, he's a genuine genius, able to match wits with Tony Stark.
He's designed his own Gundam model with technology that most of us couldn't even imagine.
Also, we now know that he's a massive weeb.
The man is such a weeb that he spends his free time and uses his PhD level intellect to create Gundam OCs. And that sleek armor he's always in was actually inspired by Saiyan armor from Dragon Ball Z.
Now that we know he's a weeb, it has become clear to me that even in universe, that's no accident. At some point, he must have reached out to his superior officer and asked for a custom job, and he went for it. Mad respect for pulling that one off.
Eric is relatable, well-written, and the most socially relevant villain that Disney will ever produce. He is the most multifaceted of the MCU's villains to the point of being a walking paradox, but that plays to his strengths. Eric, like the rest of us, is the product of his environment, raised in a stereotypical single-parent household in Oakland. His father was a prince working undercover as a spy who pleaded to his brother, the king, to aid their people, and the king refused and killed him. Then he was all alone, no older than 10, in the hard streets of the ghetto, his birthright denied to him. He grew up to be the man that his father would have wanted and exactly what society expected of him. Caught between expectations of excellence and mediocrity, he grew up to be a hard-working, intelligent, and upstanding black man, but he also grew up to be a stereotypical thug that wastes his talents on criminal endeavors. Somehow he managed to be everything everyone hoped that he would be. He becomes a prince, undercover as a spy, pleading to a king that ends up killing him. Like father, like son. This is what every influence in his life trained him to be: infiltrator, spy, assassin, and overthrower of government powers. All his life, he's been rewarded for his ability to take life. This is all he's ever known. Eric is a freaking prodigy, and I hope his mentors are proud of the man they raised him to be. That goes for his family, the U.S. government, and the citizens of our fair nation, because they all turned their back on him. Eric is a fiercely independent utilitarian. Growing up with no one to rely on but himself, he has no attachments to anyone. Everyone he's ever worked with, he's stabbed in the back. Everyone he encounters is either a tool or an obstacle. No one was there for him, so he has no loyalty to anyone but himself and his people. He betrays people wholly on instinct, and he kills without remorse. Everything that he does in every dimension creates a lasting change in the world at large, whether he succeeds or fails. In the original universe, he failed, but in doing so, his actions persuaded T'Challa to take note of the world outside the palace for the first time. Wakanda is forced to rethink their isolationist policies and create outreach programs to support people who have been discriminated against all around the world. A threat to justice anywhere, am I right? T'Challa abolishes the decrees of an outdated culture that allows anybody with the solid right hook to claim the throne. Although he didn't fully succeed, he forced the hero to meet him halfway. In this new dimension, he may not have succeeded yet in full, but he's made it halfway. He's overcome every obstacle with quick thinking and a silver tongue, fooling the whole world. He outthinks some of its greatest minds. He instigates wars between nations. He's earned the respect of and became the protector of a nation that left him to die, and it won't be long before he's sitting on the throne.
The fact that he has achieved so much with so few resources and so little screen time,
and that he was able to pull himself up out of the mud by his bootstraps, really speaks to his nature as a black character. Making the most of what little bit you have is practically the motto of disenfranchised people who have made history.
I won't compare him or his actions with anyone directly because his actions are villainous and I would never want to endorse them.
I'm only saying that I understand them and respect the work that he had to put in to become the man he needed to be to achieve his goals. I'm talking more specifically about the fact that people like Eric, people with half as much, have to work 4 times as hard to make a name for themselves. He makes us, as an audience, think twice about how we perceive him. He places a mirror up to us as individuals and as a society. Everything that he does is fully informed by his past. Every choice that he makes is a result of loss and tragedy. He has a burning passion to right the wrongs of those he sees as his brothers and sisters because of the wrongs that have been done unto him. Under any other circumstances, Eric's origin isn't that of a villain, it's a hero's. His loved ones were killed when he was a child, and he vowed to do everything in his power to make it right. Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, Iron Man, Iron Fist, Daredevil, and the list goes on. Eric is the exception to the rule that tragedy in youth makes you a good guy. Or maybe he rewrites the rule. Maybe he demonstrates that tragedy doesn't make you the good guy. Maybe it just makes you an unhinged obsessive. It's easy to think of Killmonger as a terrorist, but
you have to stop calling them terrorists.
His heart's in the right place, but he's a broken man. The perfect product of a broken system, and he's everything they wanted him to be. This episode finally gave us another chance to see him in action, and in the span of a 30-minute episode, he's become my favorite Marvel villain. Thanks for watching my video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm trying to build my channel right now, so that would all be really helpful. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter. The link will be down below. And click that bell to be notified when I drop my next video. And if you got any suggestions, please let me know.